President Trump considers starting a Patriot Party. That's right. In this video, we're going to take a look at the latest reports revealing that President Trump is already seriously speaking with his closest aides about starting a third party. We're going to look at precisely what the prospects are for such a move with the rise of European populist parties as our model. And we're going to see why no matter what President Trump has planned, the Republican Party will never be the same. Greetings, everyone. Dr. Steve here with you. Great to be with you as always. We believe the worldwide populist revolt really has just begun. And we're here to give you a conservative hope in the midst of admittedly turbulent and trying times. So if you haven't already done so, you know what to do. Make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. We'd love to have you as a regular part of this channel where each and every day we analyze what are often distressing current events, but always in light of very encouraging, hopeful conservative trends so that you can think better and therefore feel better. But first, let's give you a shout out to the sponsor of this video. Let's keep our lights on here. And that's collagen, available at my special website, healthwithsteveturley.com. If you don't know, many health experts now agree that consuming collagen helps to renew and revitalize how you look and how you feel. Taking collagen regularly can revitalize your body, can make your skin, bones, even your hair look and feel more healthy and youthful. And if you click on that link below today, you can get 51% off your order. So don't wait. Click on that link below. Get your own collagen supply today. You'll be glad that you did. All right, gang, let's dive right in here. The Wall Street Journal is reporting that President Trump is indeed openly discussing with his associates about the possibilities of forming a new political party. According to the report, President Trump discussed the matter with several aides and other people close to him last week. The president said he would want to call the new party, you guessed it, the Patriot Party. The Daily Wire is reporting that top pro-Trump Republicans close to the Trump administration said that they thought it was a bad idea and that it would split enough support away from the Republican Party that it would ensure Democrats stay in the majority for quite some time into the future. Now, obviously, President Trump is not the only one talking about this. A number of people have come out of late and suggested that after the ridiculous disappointment the GOP has been of late, maybe now really is the time to start a third party. Or as Jack Kerwick over at American Greatness puts it, maybe it's time for never GOP. In other words, while all these Republicans over the last 4 years have referred to themselves as never Trumpers, even some actually voting for Hillary and Sleepy Joe, perhaps we can return the favor and become a massive movement of never GOP. I mean, think about it for a moment. No more Mittens Romneys, no more Mitch McConnells, no more Liz Cheneys or Lindsey Grahams, no more gutless, feckless Republicans who hide behind their desks every single time we need them to come out and fight for us. Just imagine that. No more Brian Kemps of Georgia or that disaster of Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger. No more Karl Roves. No more Jeb Bushes or Chris Christie's. The whole establishment rhino Republican leadership could be effectively dismantled and dismissed in virtually blink of the eye as 75 million Americans joined a third party, which of course in turn would become the new mainstream right party, the Patriot Party. It's quite a lovely thought, isn't it? I can't think about that for days. And before any Republican wants to bash such an idea, I think they first need to demonstrate the requisite humility in absolutely and unequivocally admitting, they need to admit, that the serious consideration of a third party is a direct response to just how pathetic and ridiculous and disappointing the Republican leadership has been in their abject failure in advocating and defending a real alternative to the leftist globalism of the Democrat Party. They appear totally and completely uninterested in stopping what seems to be an incessant march towards the progressive left. And they're incurable cowards. They're scared to death of the scorn of the mainstream media. They turn their back on the deplorables every chance they get. And the fact that now President Trump and so many deplorables and patriots across the country want to start a third party is itself testimony to just how ridiculous and how unfit for purpose the Republican Party has become. So, what are the prospects for a third party? Is the third party the death knell of the Republicans? Or is it going to split the conservatives and therefore guarantee the continued triumph of the left? Well, the first thing I think we need to make sure we understand is that this talk of a third party is not coming in a vacuum. And it's not the result solely of frustration with the Republican Party, the ridiculous rhinos, or what I prefer, Diablos, Democrats in all but label, right? What's going on here with all of this third party talk is actually indicative of a larger political dynamic that we're seeing emerge all throughout the entire world. And it's what British scholars Roger Eatwell and Matthew Goodwin have called a phenomenon known as DAlignment. Now, that is a really important concept for us to grasp here. DAlignment involves the breakdown of the traditional bonds that used to exist between traditional political parties and their constituents. And this breakdown in the bonds that voters have had with the mainstream parties is making it easier for new political parties to rise up and take the nation in a new direction. So, for example, in Britain, get this, stats are fascinating. In the 1960s, around 50% of the British population felt strongly aligned to one of the traditional parties, the Tories or Labour. By 2015, that number dropped down to just 10%, right? About 13%. Party loyalties dropped from 50% to 13% since the 1960s. And that manifests itself big time with the whole Brexit issue, because support for Brexit cut directly across the traditional party electorates. And it ended up creating an extraordinarily difficult situation for both parties, since the majority of the voters in both parties voted to leave, while their MPs, or members of parliament, themselves mostly wanted to stay, since of course they profited off their relationship with the EU. Remember, over 2 million people who voted in the Brexit referendum did not vote in the national election prior to the Brexit vote. They just thought there was just no choice out there that represented their concerns. So clearly, the opportunity is there for new parties to sweep in and offer voters a new direction. That is precisely what we're seeing going on throughout Europe. In fact, in the past 17 years, the actual number of new nationalist and populist parties that have been formed across the European continent has nearly doubled. It's grown from 33 to 63. And that number is from a 2017 study. So I'm sure the number of nationalist populist right parties exceeds even that number today. And so coming back to our own context here in the States, all we have to do is ask ourselves, is there a growing number of Americans who believe that no mainstream political party, either on the right or the left, represents their values and their interests? Has the gap between the people and the political elite grown so wide that more and more people simply can't identify with any one of the two mainstream parties at this point, either the Republicans or the Democrats? If that's the case, and increasingly appears that it is, then you have precisely the kind of de-alignment needed to launch a successful third party. Now, that third party can work itself out in two political directions, which I think is very interesting, and we'll get into that in just a moment. But first, in response to this latest big tech purge that we're seeing of late, we here at Turley Talks are currently setting up a number of different alt-tech sites so we never lose touch with each other. And we would love to share with you all the different sites that we're on and will be on. And you can find out by simply clicking on the link below and signing up for our alternative media directory. Now, this is a directory that's going to make sure that you find precisely the alt-tech site that's right for you. But best of all, you're going to learn how to think better so you can feel better, right? Current events aligned to conservative trends without the threat of censorship. It's absolutely free. So make sure to click on that link below. Sign up for our Turley Talks alternative media directory today. All right. So again, if we take Europe as our model, we actually find that a third party can work itself out in two different directions. First, a third party can actually force one of the mainstream parties over to its side and adopt its position. So in this case, the third party becomes a kind of forcing mechanism that, in our case, would pull the Republican Party into fully embracing an America First MAGA populism. So take, for example, the Brexit Party, founded by Nigel Farage in the UK. One of the things that Nigel Farage did when he saw that Theresa May, the Prime Minister, was deliberately sabotaging Brexit, he said, that's it. we're going third party being an expression, of course, of a non-mainline party. Britain's got several parties, but we're going third party. We're turning our backs on the Conservatives, the Tories, same thing. They're no longer fit for purpose, and we're going to form our own Brexit party and get this Brexit thing done. Now, this was done just before the European Parliament elections in May of 2019, just a couple of months prior. And astonishingly, 1 in 3 Brits ended up voting for the Brexit party when it was just barely 6 weeks old. Now, you got to let that hit you. Brits were so frustrated and disappointed with the Tories, the Conservative Party, that over 30% of them voted for a party that wasn't even 3 months old at the time. So that's the power of a third party if the demand is there. The Brexit party absolutely humiliated the Tories in the European Parliament elections. I got to look this up. I've mentioned this before. I think the Tories were so humiliated they were reduced to single digits. I think they came in 4th or 5th place in that election. Now, here's the real magic, though, of a third party like Brexit. With that kind of humiliation, the Conservatives realized that they had to embrace Brexit fully. And so they put pro-Brexit leaders in power like Boris Johnson. And as a result, they went on to win one of the biggest landslide victories in December of 2019 that British politics had seen in almost 100 years. And so that's one reason for forming a third party. It forces the main party, in this case the Republican Party, to pivot and embrace a more nationalist populist paradigm, which at the same time would force feckless Republicans out of leadership and put hardcore deplorables, MAGA Trumpians, fully in power in the leadership of the Republican Party. So from this vantage point, the third party operates like a kind of forcing function. It actually forces the mainline party to bend, as it were, to the concerns and the interests of the third party, just like the Tories had to do with the Brexit party. So that's one reason for starting a third party, to bring the mainline party over to us. But there's another one as well, and that's what some scholars call a form of bootleg party. The mainline globalist parties in Europe, either in the center right or center left, globalist centrist parties, by definition, they simply refuse to deal with the issues of things like immigration that so many populists are concerned about. And so that dismissal has opened up the opportunity for bootleggers to come in, right? Okay, we all know what a bootlegger is, right? You make alcohol illegal, like here in the States, but if people wanted to drink, they were going to do so, right? During Prohibition, so they had to turn to bootleggers. And in this case, in politics, bootleggers are those who find that they become very popular when they champion nationalist populist policies. That's what we're seeing in Europe, right? That's what's been giving rise to the French National Rally or the Lega Party or the Brothers of Italy and the Vox Party in Spain, the Sweden Democrats. These are new nationalist populist parties, and they're each basically destroying any political viability of the mainline center-right party in their respective nations. The third party then starts becoming the mainstream right party. So those are the two options that are available to us as we join President Trump in thinking about the very real possibility of starting a Patriot Party. The party could either force the Republican Party to bend its knee to our wishes and cast out all the rhinos, or the Republican Party can itself basically cease to exist. Either way, it looks like Donald Trump is going to make sure that the Republican Party will never be the same again. Now, before you go, make sure to like this video, comment down below, and subscribe to my channel. You definitely want to check out my latest video. I just uploaded it on how the FBI has actually had the gall of vetting the National Guard to try to find right-wing extremists in their midst. All the while, militia membership is soaring throughout the nation. You're not going to want to miss it, so make sure to click on the link, and I will see you over there. God bless.